Gupta and I'm 11 years old. I'm the founder of 10xcoderkids.com, and if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And this is gonna be yet another interesting video. Today we are gonna learn about the URL module in Node.js. So this is gonna be very exciting for me. I hope you all are also excited. Sit back and let's code together and learn together. So let's start without any delay. Dab! So I'll go to Chrome and we are gonna learn about the Node.js URL module as I said. So the built-in URL module. First of all, there's one thing, you don't need to install the URL module, it is built-in. Okay, so you don't need to do any installations. Okay, so the URL module splits up a web address into readable parts. So like here, this is a web address. The URL module splits this so that we can read this and perform actions on a certain URL. Okay, so to include the URL module, use the require method. So to include the URL module, like any other module, you have to use the require method. So over here we are creating a URL variable in which we are importing our URL module. Parse an address with the url.parse method and it will return URL object with each part of the address properties. So parse an address with the url.parse method. So we parse an address to the url.parse method and it will return an object with each part of the address as properties. So like the host name, or you can say any type of like host path name, or you can say the search. Okay, so let's see. So split the web address into readable parts. So here we have the URL module, here we have a whole address. We are creating address ourselves. Okay, so that's so that we can test how this URL module works. So we are creating HTTP localhost 8080 default.html, and in this we are giving a query year equals to 2017 and month is equals to February. Then we are creating a variable q. uh, Q stands for query, and url.parse address. So we are parsing the address, and we have to give it true. Okay, so this now q is an object over here. Q is an object, and there are lots of properties of q like host, path name, search. So I will just console.log q so that I can show you what all properties this q have. Then what we are doing, we are doing console.log q.host. So it is giving us localhost 8080. Why? Because the host is localhost 8080 and q.host gives us the host. Okay, then we are consoling.log q.path name, so it will return us default.htm. Why? Because the path name is this much, the query is not a part of the path name. Okay, so that's why it is giving us this default.htm, because this is the path name. But if you give path, then it will bring whole this, so it will bring the whole path. But with path name, it will only bring this path part where there is no query. Okay, so then we are doing console.log q.search, and what this q.search does, it console.logs our query. Okay, so this is quite cool. Then we have qdata q.query. What this q.query and q, you must be thinking q.search and q.query are the same. No, q.search returns us the query as a string, but q.query gives us an object made from that query. For example, we are given the over here query year 2017 and month is equals to February. So q.query will return an object like in which there will be year is a key and the value is 2017, and month is a key and February is the value. And now we can use this object in different ways. Okay, So like we can over here we are just logging out the month, but we can use it in different ways. Like we can check if the month is equals to February, then do this. If q data dot year is equals to 2017 or 2018, do this. And we can use this q dot query in lot of ways. So yeah, so let's test this out ourselves, because I need to show you what exactly this queue object has inside it. So I'll go to VS Code. So if you remember, this is all our old stuff. Last video we learned how to upload files. It was quite interesting, that video. So if you haven't checked it out already, do check it out. It is very 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 interesting, and you will find it very useful also. So let's close this. Now, as we needed this for the last video, let's create a new file which will say, we'll name this URL module demonstration. Demo is short form for it, so we'll give it URL module demo. First of all, what we need to do, we need to import this URL module equals to require URL. So now we have imported this URL module. What we need to do, the second step for us is to create an address. So we'll create an address is equals to http localhost 8080. Let's do this index.html, and we'll give the query Saion, like we can do age equals to like 24 and birth year. It's not real, I'm just writing whatever that comes to my mind. Birth year something like 2012, something. Okay. This is not true. Anything, any one of this is not true. I just wanted to demo. I just want to demonstrate this. That's why I'm giving this. Then what we are doing, we need to parse the URL. So first of all, we will create a q variable in which we will parse the URL. So we'll do url.parse, and um, basically Visual Studio Code shows this type of stuff when we are using the parse function. So don't worry, it's nothing, it's just a simple warning. Okay, and we'll give this address and true. Okay, now I told you I will show you what is q, so I'll just log out q to see what all properties does it have. Okay, and we'll save this. We'll do node url demo.js, and look here, this is our q object. So q, as I told you, is an object. So let's see its properties. There's a protocol property which gives us the protocol http or https. So right now we have given here http, that's why http is coming over here. Then slashes is true. Maybe this refers to this, and these slashes I don't know exactly. Then host, it is giving us localhost 8080. So our host is localhost 8080, that's why it is giving host is localhost 8080. Port is 8080, so this is our port over here. Okay, host name is localhost, so the name of the host is localhost. Host is the combination of the port and host name. Port is another thing, that is this number that we give after the semi like colon over here. And localhost is our host name. Then hash is null. Search is the search query that we search. So this was our search query, so it is giving us this search query. It's the same, like age is equal to 24, age is equal to 24, and birth year is equal to 2012, birth year is equal to 2012. Then query, I told you query is different from search. It basically is an object. So it is an object over here with age as the property and 24 as the value, comma, birth year as the property, and 2012 as a value. So now we can use this object for certain tasks. Okay, so this is a very useful property. So query is a very useful property. Path name gives us this path name over here. Okay, the path gives us all of this that we'll see later, but path name just gives us the name. So that is this index.html. basically you can see the file that we have specified. Then path is basically, I told you that it is the whole thing, the whole path is this. Okay, then href, so it gives us the whole address. Href gives us the whole address. Okay, so now let's as we have seen this, let's log these out separately in our console. So let's first log out host. Okay, then let's see this. So it is, our host is 8080, localhost 8080. So localhost 8080 is coming. Next, let's log out the path name. So what will come in the path name? Just try to answer what will come in the path name. In the path name, this index.html will come because it gives us only the path name. It does not give us with the query. So it gives us just the path, not the query with it. But the path property gives us the whole path. Basically, you can say that path name gives us a path name. The path name basically is the stuff that is without the query and without the port, host, and this what we say, protocol. Okay, so let's run this. I know you have understood this, right? This is very easy. We know that path name is just this part without the query. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll console.log q.search. q.search, query.search. So this will give us the query part. Okay, so let's see. So now you see this has also logged out the query part. So I'll just, yep. Now let's create a variable that is query, in which we have q.query, and this is an object. So let's log out this object's age. Okay, because in this object we have a age, we have an age property, because I told you that the object has like in the object, basically the object is like this query has been broken into an object. The part before the equals to, for a better explanation, the part before the equals to is the key, and the part after the equals to is the value. Then and represents the comma. I'm just saying this all to explain this to people who are not able to still understand this. I'm explaining it like this for those people. Then we have birth year over here, and this equals to represents the colon, and then this is the value 2012. Birth year was the key. So I've just explained this, but basically it has broken down the query string into an object by the like taking it and seeing what is the query. Like, this is the key, obviously. The thing that we are assigning to something, like here, like, think of this. The age is basically, you can say, it is a key. So, like, it is something whose value we are setting. Okay, so the thing that whose value we are setting is obviously the key, because in keys also we set the values of keys. So the thing that we are whose values we are setting are the keys. Okay, then the value that we are setting, like the value that we are giving to that thing, is the value of the key, right? Makes sense? Like, we should not complicate this so much. I think I'm complicating it a lot. Basically, let's we have seen the query object over here. So query was age 24 and birth year 2012, and I'm not able to explain it exactly, but like, I think you must have understood this, what is happening over here, how this object is being made, because age should obviously be the key and 24 should obviously be the value. Similarly, birth year should obviously be the key and 2012 should obviously be the value. Then we are logging out the age, so it will, like, it was this object over here. So when we are logging out this age, it will give us 24. Oh, we have to do query.age. Age is nothing, we have to do query.age. So basically, whatever like queries property age value, so we are logging out queries property that is age is value. Okay, so now if we see, oh, I didn't save it, sorry. Now let's rerun this. So you see localhost 8080, because this is the host. Then we are showing the path name, that is index.html. Then we are showing the search, that is the query, basically not the query object but the query. Then in this query variable we have the query object. Okay, so dot query brings us the query object. You can say the query object. The query object is basically this query broken down into an object. And then we are logging out query.age. Age is a property of this query object, so its value is 24. That's why 24 is coming over here. I think it's quite clear. Okay, so let's move on. Ah, that was refreshing, very refreshing. Okay, so Node.js file server. Now we know how to parse the query string, and in the previous chapter we learned how to make Node.js behave as a file server. So now we know how to parse a query string. We know we have parsed a query string like this, and we have saved. This thing returns us an object, and when this returns us an object, it basically, I'll just explain you why we give true also. I'll give this false over just to show you, just to explain it properly. So you look at this. This query.age is coming undefined. Now let's try to show what is happening. Let's console.log queue. So the whole main object in which all the properties are there. Now let's see what is happening. Basically, you see this query is now not an object. When we give false, this query is now not an object. It is just like search but without a question mark. Okay, and when we give true, and rerun this, you see query automatically becomes an object. So the conclusion is basically when we have to give true to tell it that we want the query as an object. So query properties value should be a broken down object. So should be the query broken down into an object. But when we give false, we are telling it that we want it just like search but without that question mark. Okay, so it's quite clear now. So what I was saying, so we have learned how to parse the URL, save it in a variable and use its properties. This returns us an object and we can use its properties using the q variable and dot whatever property we want to access. And in the previous chapter, if you haven't seen my file fs module video, do check it out because uh, we are gonna use it right now over here, so it will be difficult for you to understand if you have not checked that out. So do check it out, really it will be a great help for you. So in the previous chapter we learned how to make a Node.js behave as a file server. So in the previous video we learned how to make Node.js behave as a file server also. So let us combine the two and serve the file requested by the client. So now what we'll do, we'll combine the URL module and the fs module to serve the file requested by the client. So what will happen basically, there will be a request of a file. Okay, so there will be a request of the file, and whatever file the user request, we will execute that using the URL module. Okay, and what will be the use of fs module? Fs module will read that file to execute it. Okay, and URL module will bring that file name that we want to execute. Okay, so create two HTML files and save them in the same folder as your node.js files. So we are creating two HTML files and saving them in here. So let's create it. Just a second, I'll just save this over here. So let's create new file, summer.html, and another file, winter.html. Okay, now in the summer.html, what we are gonna do, we'll just give explanation dot enter. I just tried some, I've seen this a lot of times when they get a template type of thing with that thing, so I also tried that, but no worries, let's slide the HTML ourselves. So let's, here we have a basic HTML. Okay, so here we have a basic HTML, and there's a basic body in which there's a basic h1 that is summer. Yay. Okay, so here we have a summer HTML. Let's copy this and paste this, but to differentiate it, let's give winter over here, and instead of yay, let's give oh no. Oh, I like winter more than summers, but still. Okay, and now when we have created these two, creating a node.js file that opens the requested file and returns the content to the client. So create a node.js file that opens the requested file. So this node.js file that we are gonna create is open the requested file and return the content to the client, and it will return the content to the client. If anything goes wrong, throw a 404 error. So for example, a file is not found, throw the 404 error, not found error. Okay, so let's leave this URL module demo and let's create a new file. What should we name it? Let's name it like fs with url, fs with url.js. Okay, so now we are gonna create a http, and it will require http. So we are doing this to create an http server. Then we need to import our fs module, so the file system module through which we will read the files. And finally we will import our url module through which we will see which file is the user requesting for. Okay, then what we are doing, we are gonna create a http server. So if you haven't seen my http, how to create an http server using node.js, do check it out because it will be a great help for you. Okay, now this http.create server gets a function, a callback function, request and response. And request is basically the request, and response is that we write. So basically write head, we write, we end the response, and all that stuff. And we will listen this on port 8080. So we will listen for our server on port 8080. Okay, so now what we are gonna do, we are creating a variable query. So let's read the code first. We are creating a variable query in which we are parsing request.url. So let's first of all log out our url, request.url, what is coming. So for those who don't know it, I'm doing this for those. So I'll just do node fs with url.js. So our server is running. Let's go to our server. Then only it will show us. Let's close this tab, open a new tab. What the heck? Let's go to Visual Studio Code, and you see, I'll just show you. Let this load. Let this load. Man, yeah, now it's loading. Oh man, my network is full speed, guys. It's 5G then also. Oh, it was just about to load. I'll wait. I don't have patience basically. Hmm. Now I'll wait. I'm gonna wait. Oh man, patience is the key to success. Let's wait patiently. This stupid oldie Macintoshy. Oh, I know the reason. What is happening? Why is it not loading? Is basically because you have not given it any response and the request is not fulfilled. That's why. But you see the URL over here is this. If I go on some other URL like, and then you see, so the URL is now this. Okay, so it brings a uh, URL part, and we are giving it true so that we can access the query object. Okay, now we are creating a file name. Let's, oh man, I didn't write the whole statement. Variable URL is equals to URL dot parse. Oh man, it's not variable URL. It's Q. url.parse and you request.url comma true. Okay, then let's read the code. Now what we are doing file name, we are giving it a dot over here because path name brings the slash with it also. So we are searching for the file in the current directory because dot slash means current directory, and then the file name is coming with it, so that's why it will search for the current file in the current directory for the file requested in the current directory. So basically it would be something like dot slash summer.html or winter.html. Okay, then we are reading the file name, so whatever the file is requested, and we get a function error and data. We all, if you have seen my file system module video, all of this is clear to you, but if you haven't seen that video, this will not be clear to you at all. So do check it out. I'm repeating it once again if you haven't already. So function error and data, so we get error. If there's an error, we get data of that file if there is no error. So if there's an error, we'll just write head 404 content type text html, and we'll return response.end 404 not found. So why is return keyword important over here? I'll just tell you. But over here we are just returning response.end 404 not found. Okay, and if there's no error, it will write head 200 content type is text html response.write data and response return response dot end. Okay, so data I have showed you in my previous video, so I'm repeating it once again. Do check it out. Remember to initiate the file, so it is saying us to initiate the file. If you have followed the same steps on your computer, you should see two different results when opening these two addresses. Okay, and this for when we open summer.html, we'll get this, and when we open winter.html, we'll get this. So this is quite clear, but now let's write the code. I'll explain this while writing it also. So we are creating a file name equals to dot, so dot and then query dot path name. So the path name, we have seen that it has a slash with it. What is happening? Oh, plus query dot path name. So path name, we have seen that it gives us the basically the file name that's specified over here, but with a slash. Okay, so we basically it will be dot slash, so that means it will search for the file in the current directory, and then it will the file name will have the current the file name that is requested. Okay, so path name is also very useful. So I'll explain this once again. What is happening through the statement, I'm explaining it in short that through the statement it is searching in the current directory for the file name that is requested over here. How it is done? Basically there's a dot and a slash because path name gives a slash, so the dot and the slash together means that search in the current directory, and then there's a file name, so it will search for the file in the current directory. Okay, then we are reading that file, so we are reading the file name. You'll get a function error and data. If there's a success, we'll get data, and if there's an error, we'll get error. So we are checking for error. If error, then we'll do response.write head. So we are writing the head that in write head we are giving 404, that means file not found, and over here we are doing content type to text html, and then we are returning response dot end. Okay, I'll just tell you why we are giving return. Else what it will do, it will response dot write head 200 content type text HTML, and then we'll response dot write data, so the data we get, the data of the file, and as we are setting the content type to text HTML, it would be shown as HTML, and then we'll return response dot end. Okay, and this was it. So now what we are gonna do, we'll rerun the server, and now if we reload, this page cannot be found. So let's go back to localhost 8080. If we go to summer.html, so it is showing us summer, yay. Okay, and I'll just check over here if there's an error. Response dot write head 404 content response 10. Oh, okay. 404 file not found. So instead of the browser's default error, we will show our own error. So it is showing us 404 file not found, and now we'll go to summer.html. So it is executing summer.html, and then we'll go to winter.html. It is executing winter.html. Okay, so this is quite cool and quite easy to understand. Okay, and now I told you I will remove these return keywords. So yeah, first I will explain what will happen. So what will happen basically, if for example the file is not found, so it will go in this, it will write it 404, and it will end the response. Then it will go out as we have not returned it. Return basically breaks out of the function, but now it is not breaking out of the function, so it will go out over here. It would write head, which is not allowed, because once we have ended the response, what it will do, once we have ended the response, we can't write another once again. So it will give us an error over here, and the server will stop working. Now I'll give you a demo of it. So now if I go over here, it's working all fine. As I go over here, it is showing us 404 not found, but our server has now stopped running. It is showing unhandled error event right after end, because there was an error, it went over here. Once it went over here, it wrote all this. Okay, but when we were giving the return keyword, what was happening, return keyword, what was happening, it once we give return, then it breaks out of the function. So once it was breaking out of the function, it didn't go to these lines, and as it didn't go to the lines, it was not right after end, and it was not right after end, that's why our server was not stopping. So here we have a lesson. Here this is a lesson for us, that we should once we have finished our work in a function, we should return it, so that it perfectly breaks out of the function correctly. Okay, so this was what I wanted to tell you, and this was quite interesting to build over here. This let's read this once again. Remember to initiate the file, if you have followed the same steps on your computer, you should see two different results when opening these two addresses. When you open summer.html, you will see summer thingy, and when you open winter.html, it will produce the result of winter. So, thank you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos. Dab!